उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we have started this new chapter, explanation of devotional service. So in varieties of ways, Mother Devahuti, she is questioning her son in subject matter of devotional service to be rendered towards the Supreme Lord. So various questions we are seeing. So here in this verse we see Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet. Bhagavan, she is addressing her son Kapila Muni. O Lord, Bhagavan, yena purushaha sarvataha virago bhavet. Please tell me that by which Purushaha, a living entity, a human being in this material world, he becomes detached. Viragaha bhavet. Viragaha sarvato bhavet. At all point of time, he leads a detached life. He becomes completely detached from this material world. How? Achakshva jiva lokasya. Achakshva means please describe, please tell me. For jiva lokasya. Jiva lokasya means for the people in general, and also mama, for me also, for my understanding and for the understanding of people in general. Vividha Samsrti. Different kinds of troublesome situations which are caused especially due to birth and death repeatedly in this material world. Achakshva jiva lokasya vividha mama samsriti. This samsriti, the troublesome situation created in this material world, especially because of birth and death repeatedly. So this needs to be understood properly by the living entities in this material world. Why? Why? Because yena purusho virago bhavet. Sarvato virago bhavet. He becomes detached. I remember during my childhood days, myself along with few of my family members, we had been to a temple. While returning back, one of my cousin, he started telling, there was one of my grandmothers, elderly lady, she was there, he started explaining about how one of our far relative, he just recently passed away, and how he passed away, how he died, the sufferings which he underwent during the time of death, all of those things he started explaining. So immediately my grandmother, and don't speak about all these inauspicious things in temple. That immediately after puja, why do you want to speak such inauspicious things about death, about suffering? No, don't speak. But we, in our temple, almost every day, after puja, after darshanarti, guru puja, kirtan, the first thing we do, we discuss about these things. Birth, death, old age, disease. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. These are the realities in this material world. We should be aware of these things. And being aware of these things, what is the result? We become detached from this material world. The more we become detached from this material world, there are chances that, of course, when we come in touch with a pure devotee, we become detached from this material world and we become attached to Krishna. So this is the advantage of speaking about, of hearing about, continuously remembering the miseries in this material world. So let's read the translation once again. My dear Lord, please also describe in detail. She's asking, in detail you describe, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. So we should have a correct picture of what's happening in this material world. If we do not have, sometimes it happens. Why take up all of these austerities? Why follow the regulative principles? However, we are leading life nicely. If at all somehow if we can make money, economic development, we can lead a very happy life. We can overcome a lot of miseries of this material world. This is the way some people present. But no, they are all ignorant. If at all we lead a life in such way, what will happen? We may have to degrade to get a body of an animal in our next life. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Samsrti means the continued journey on the path of birth and death towards the darkest region of material existence. People who have no knowledge of this material world, God or their actual intimate relationship with Him are actually going to the darkest region of material existence in the name of progress in the material advancement of civilization. To enter the darkest region of material existence means to enter into a species of life other than the human species. So this is what it is. To enter into the darkest species means darkest region of material existence, to get a body of an animal. Because in that animal life, it cannot understand what's happening. Its intelligence is very much limited just to the activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Beyond this, it can't think why there is death, why there is repeated birth, why there is old age. Is there a way I can come out of all of these sufferings? No, it cannot think. So it's very risky. So as human beings, we should be responsible, lead a responsible life, take great care, attention, and with endeavor we need to understand these realities of the material world, because we are something distinct from all other animals. Just recently also I was giving this example in the Sunday class of how in a bus journey, we enter into a bus we would have purchased a ticket, maybe to travel to a very, say, a long journey. We want to travel to Bangalore, and we have boarded the bus, and after getting into the bus, we sit comfortably in our seats, and maybe night journey, we switch off the light, and maybe AC bus, we may switch on the AC, adjust it to whatever our requirements, and comfortably we sit. We would have taken one bed sheet or one chadar, and comfortably we take rest. So is there any problem in this? There is no problem. We are not traveling somehow. We have paid the ticket, paid for it, and we are sitting in our own seats, and we are not disturbing anyone, not making any sound, anything. So in our seat we are sitting comfortably, and we are taking rest during the journey. There is no problem, we may say. There is yet another person who boards the bus along with us. He also sits in his seat, and he also sleeps. But what if he is the driver of that bus? This is where the difference lies. Sitting on a driver's seat, he cannot sit and sleep there or relax there. No, he should be fully alert. Shri Krishna Balarama ki jai. If at all he is not alert, even he goes to take rest, then a big disaster will happen. So likewise, so we should understand, as human beings, we have been given this special intelligence to understand about these things. This is the only opportunity to come out of the cycle of birth and death. If we don't make use of this opportunity, anyhow, so many living entities enjoying their own way, sensual pleasures and all, we also do that, then definitely we will not be allowed to sit there or be allowed to remain in this human form of life. We will be pushed down towards animal life. So just think about that. If at all he is very alert, he is active and does his job well of driving the bus properly, all the entire remaining maybe 30-40 people in the bus, everyone are sleeping. If he starts complaining, everyone are sleeping, let me also take rest, why this mismatch, whatever. No. They can sleep, but he cannot. He should be fully alert. If he does his job well, then there are proper rewards for him. His duty he does, he gets his salary, compensation, everything that will be taken care. But all other people, they are nicely sleeping there, but after going to their destination places, there they have to go, they have to work and earn money, take care of themselves. They have their own set of activities to do. But this person, this is his job. If he does his job well, yes, things are done. Things will be taken care. So likewise, we can compare how this human form of life, it's a very responsible life. We need to be responsible for all of our activities. Now, I'll be telling you one small, there are beautiful prayer offered by Arjuna to Lord Krishna. This comes in the first canto, 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjuna, when he is put into a distress condition, very beautifully he prays to Lord Krishna with proper understanding. See, all of this has happened after the Kurukshetra war. It was on the last day, the 18th day. The battle is won over by the Pandavas, and Duryodhana, he is lying on the battlefield with his spine broken. And at that point of time, during the night time, on the 18th day night, Ashwatthama, he thinks, let me satisfy my master. And what he does, he goes to the Pandavas' camp The Pandavas had not yet arrived back after battle. At that point of time, their 5 sons, they were sleeping. So at that point of time, Ashwatthama does a very heinous activity of killing, butchering the head of all the 5 sons of the Pandavas. And he brings those heads, and as a gift he wanted to give to Duryodhana, who is lying on the battlefield, to at least during the death time to please him. But Duryodhana easily he could make out these are not the heads of the Pandavas. And when he came to know that these are all the sons of Pandavas, even Duryodhana became more unhappy. As a righteous, as the spirit of Kshatriya. I had enmity towards his Pandavas, but these are his sons who are supposed to take forward the next generation, take care of charge of the kingdom next. You have killed them. Duryodhana became very morose. Okay, later after this, when Draupadi came to know about this, that all her 5 sons are dead, she became very sorry for that, and she starts lamenting with tears in her eyes. And when Arjuna also understands this, he also becomes very angry, and he says to Draupadi, I'll go now with this, the arrows from my Gandiva bow, I will chop off that Ashwatthama's head, and then I'll come back and wipe away your tears, and then I'll perform the funeral for my dead sons, and standing on the head of this Ashwatthama, you can take your bath after all these funeral rites. So he says this to Draupadi and sets off, going behind Ashwatthama. And Ashwatthama, coming to know about this, he is looking the fury of Arjuna. He wanted to escape from him, but Arjuna is right behind him, and Ashwatthama at one point of time he noticed that his horses were very tired. He couldn't proceed any forward. So he thought, just to save his life, what can I do? So the last option, the last weapon which he had was the Brahmastra. So he thought, let me use this Brahmastra against Arjuna. Of course, he did not know how to retract it back, but still to protect his life, he used that Brahmastra. And Arjuna, he was chasing Ashwatthama. He couldn't make out, it was full glaring light in all directions. He couldn't see anything, and he felt how even he wanted to go and chase and kill Ashwatthama, but now he is feeling how he himself has been put into a dangerous situation. First he wanted to save himself. He did not know what's happening, what to do exactly, he was completely bewildered. At that point of time, he prays to Lord Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameka Dahyamananam Apavargo Hi Samsrite. Krishna, Krishna, you are the only person who can save a living entity. Tvameko Dahyamananam, the living entities who are all burning in this material existence. Apavargo Hi Samsrite. Apavargaha, you are the only source for their liberation from this material world, for them to escape from the tribulations of this material world. Apavargo Hi Samsrite. So there, in one lecture by Srila Prabhupada on this verse, given in Vrindavan in 1976, Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargo Hi Samsrite. There, Srila Prabhupada very beautifully, he explains this term Samsrite or Samsriti. What is this Samsriti? In the first portion of his lecture, I'll read out that. This material world is called Samsriti, continuously suffering, that we cannot understand. This is called ignorance. continuously suffering. They are thinking we are very happy, but this material world means continuously suffering. So one living entity is dying and his gross body is left, and the subtle body, mind, intelligence, ego, carrying him in another body through the semina of the father to the womb of the mother. Then it is placed and the body again forms. And when the body is formed, then he comes out. And within the womb of the mother, there is so much suffering. We know that. Many times we have discussed. And coming from the very moment the child is crying, there is inconveniences. So many things he cannot express. In this way, within the womb there is suffering, out of the womb there is suffering, then growing child or baby or boy, there are so many sufferings. Prabhupada continues to say, then young man, or is it that young man, he is happy, full stout and strong. Suppose he becomes a family man, then earn for the family, that is also suffering. Then old man, disease, inability, many thoughts, that is also suffering. And again, death is suffering. At the time of death, nobody knows what will happen. Recently, one of our god brothers has died. He was suffering. Prabhupada is recounting what he heard. Recently, his god brother had died. So he is telling in the class. Recently, one of our god brothers had died. He was suffering that some glucose food was being supplied through the nose, and with what is called taking out the, that also another suffering, forcibly taking out the urine, cannot speak anything, that is also suffering. This is called Samsrti. So this is how Srila Prabhupada explains, there is continuous suffering in this material world. If at all we are complacent with whatever little happiness, so-called happiness of sense gratification we feel, we are simply under ignorance. A bigger disaster, bigger calamities are awaiting us. One more verse, let me read out from the Mahabharata. Very interesting. This comes in the Yaksha Prashna, that portion of the Mahabharata, wherein Dharmaraja, Yamadharmaraja, in the form of Yaksha, he asks various questions to Yudhishthira. One of the questions is like this. He asks, what is the news in this material world? Varta. What is the Varta, or what is the news in this material world? That is, what is the real situation in the material world? For that, Maharaja Yudhishthira, he answers, what is the news in this material world? He says, Asmin maha mohamaye katahe suryagnina ratri divendhanena masa ritu darvi parighattanena bhutani kala pachatiti varta. He says, Asmin mohamaye katahe. This material world is compared to a big frying pan. Mohamaye katahe. And below that, Suryagnina. Of course, Surya is above us, but here the fire is the sun. There is sun below, or whatever, Agni, fire below, and Ratri Diva Indhanena. Day and night, they are the fuel which is being continuously supplied day after day, or night after night, day and night. A continuous fuel is being supplied there. And then Masa Ritu Darvi, or the what's that, ladle, the stirring spoon is the changing months and seasons, continuously stirring. And who is that person who is stirring? Kala. The Kala, he is the cook. He's having that stirring spoon or the ladle in his hand and he's continuously stirring. Because the cooks we have seen, because of something we go on putting into that whatever cooker or that frying pan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So sometimes we see, just go on adding all these different varieties of, maybe put some vegetables, rice and everything, and just if it kept there in the frying pan or the cooker, only maybe one portion of the vegetables and the grains would have boiled. So that's why continuously it will be stirred. The cook will see to it that every grain of rice is nicely cooked. Every vegetable inside is nicely cooked. So continuously there will be stirring. So likewise, the cook known as the Kala, with the stirring ladle of the changing seasons, continuously they will be stirred inside. Bhutani Kalaha Pachatiti Varta. So likewise, all living entities are being put inside this frying pan, and the Kala is stirring them nicely under the fire of whatever sun, being fueled by days and nights, and continuously they are boiling continuously. This is the news in this material world. I'll read the translation. The material world is like a frying pan. The sun is the fire, the day and nights are the fuel, the passing seasons are the stirring ladle, and time is the cook. All living entities are being thus fried in this pan. This is the real news of what is happening in this material world, which is a miserable place full of ignorance. So this is how Maharaja Yudhishthira explains the Varta, or the situation in this material world. So that's what Mother Devahuti is telling or requesting Kapila Muni, kindly explain about all of this Samsrti, repeated birth and death, the different kinds of calamities, problematic situations in this material world, so that myself and the people in general, we hear about these things and we become detached from this material world. Otherwise, under illusion, we'll think some illusory temporary happiness is there and we become attached to that, forgetting what kind of calamities are awaiting us. So let me hear about these things. So this is the question what Mother Devahuti is putting in front of her glorious son, Lord Kapila. So to conclude, so understanding how this material world is, the way out is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So in that portion of the prayers what we chant, the glories of the holy name, there is this verse we regularly chant. Apanna samsritim ghoram yan nama vivasho grinan Tata sadyo vimuccheta yad bibeti swayam bhayam. The Lord, His holy names, whoever chants, even if he chants without attention or even unconsciously, still he'll be tataha sadyo vimuccheta. Very quickly he'll be released from this Samsrti Ghora. This Ghora Samsrti, what he is being put inside, just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, he will be given relief from this Samsrti. Yad bibheti swayam bhayam. The Lord's name, holy name, is being feared by fear personified. Whoever chants this, even inattentively, even unconsciously, he will be given relief from this suffering in this material world. I'll read the translation. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously. Vivasho grinan. Vivasha means unconsciously. Even by unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. So this is the only way out of Samsrti. Prabhupada, one more thing he points out in the purport. There is one Samsriti, there is one Shreyasriti. Samsriti we understood. Continuous repeated birth, death, old age, disease, we are putting under these conditions, tribulations, and made to suffer. There is yet another path, which is Shreyasriti, meaning the prosperous path of advancement towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Shikshashtaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Shreyah Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So this Krishna Sankirtana will Shreyah Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam will make the lotus flower of all auspiciousness, Shreya Kairava Chandrika. This Krishna Sankirtana is like the moon, through which all the, like the lotus flower blooms when there is moonrise. Likewise, all auspiciousness begins in the life of the devotee who takes up to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This is the glory of Krishna Sankirtana. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana. We'll conclude with this. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.